Some 2,000 years ago, Paris started life as a small community on the banks of the River Seine. Along the same banks, in 1898, in a minute workshop, a solitary pioneer built one of the first cars in the world. Today, the Renault is France's leading automobile manufacturer. The Renault plants cover an area equal to 2/3 of the size of Paris. But factories have been decentralized to avoid overcrowding the city. The fabulous amount of steel used annually by the Renault works would be enough to make 48 Eiffel Towers. The amount of cardboard used would make such a huge box that the whole of Paris would be contained inside. The amount of glass would make a gigantic bottle in which the waters of the Seine would look like a small swimming pool. To handle this production, a worldwide sales network has been set up. In France alone, there are 4,000 sales points. Now let's see just how this system works. The early morning mist has disappeared from Billancourt. It's 6:30 a.m. Here, operations get cracking on engines, machine tools, Renault Fords, and estafettes. At Flins, some 30 miles outside Paris, Dauphines, now familiar throughout the world, are assembled. At Cléon, aluminium is cast, gearboxes are machined. At Le Mans, tractors start rolling onto production lines. Over 400 miles away, near the mountainous Alps, special steel will be turned out. The heart of the Lorraine ore fields, rolling mills will produce part of the hundreds of tons of sheet metal needed by Renault presses daily. The plants need not only steel, but wood as well. In the richly wooded Sologne country and also in the Upper Marne, lumbermen will fell great quantities of timber for boxes and crates to pack spare parts which will be shipped to the four corners of the globe. Miles from there, on the banks of the long Loire River, injection equipment for diesel engines, bearing shells and piston rings will be manufactured. At Annecy, on the Swiss frontier, the daily output of tens of thousands of ball bearings will commence. The clock marks 7 a.m. The doors of the plants are about to open. At Flins, a fleet of buses transport the men who will assemble the Dauphine. Throughout France, all over the world, thousands of men and women will settle down to their jobs at machines, behind office desks, or at switchboards. 7:15 a.m. At Le Mans, the workers get to their shops. 7:30 at Flins, the 7 3/4 miles of conveyor belts start rolling afresh. 7:35, the estafette assembly line at Billancourt goes into action. For the past hour, the Bessemer converters have been belching great tongues of fire in the foundries and steel shops. In the day that lies ahead, 250 tons of metal will be transformed into thousands of components ranging from piston rings, weighing no more than a sheet of paper, to massive cylinder blocks for the 12-cylinder railcar engine. Every hour, 100 engine cylinder blocks will come out of the foundries. about 10 minutes to 9. Prior to every casting, the metal is sampled, and a sample is sent by pneumatic tube to the laboratory for inspection. A spectrograph is used for checking. The sample is analyzed. Within 3 minutes, the results are known. Depending on the analysis results, the casting composition may be altered. Thus, quality, one of the industry's keys to success, can be followed hourly. A telewriter transmits the results to the foundry. 9 o'clock. From the foundry, the trimmed and inspected cylinder blocks have been forwarded to the machining shop. The part is automatically clamped on the first of the 16 U5 transfer machines, which form the most highly perfected automatic machining setup in the world. Engineers from the United States, Great Britain, Germany, and Russia come to see for themselves what Renault has achieved. Hundreds of electrical relays and switches control the simultaneous operation of 165 electromechanical machining heads. "625 tools work simultaneously on the metal. Components are brought by conveyors over 850 yards long, which are fitted with a pneumatic switching and lifting system. Every 30 seconds, a new part. Another 30 seconds, a new part. Accuracy is kept to within 1/100th of a millimeter. This machine is self-controlled. 100 feelers check the metal constantly and flash a warning signal if they find the slightest defect. "30 seconds, a new part." At the Cléon plant, other transfer machines turn out cylinder blocks and gearboxes. Renault's great claim to success is surely due to this happy marriage of mass production and quality. The time is 9:30 a.m. At Billancourt, electronic machines record sales figures and orders from overseas. In a branch office, the sales manager winds up his report. Order forms are checked, and yesterday's figures given the once-over. At the agents, a salesman picks out names of prospective customers he will call on during the day. It's now 10 o'clock. The local distributor in Bayonne is demonstrating a 2.5-ton lorry to a customer. which will be fitted to meet his personal tastes and requirements. At the same time, inspectors of the Agricultural Equipment Division of the Loire Valley in France and their counterparts in Holland speed along roads of their areas. In a test center, technicians try out a new tractor accessory. An hour before the lunch break, 11 a.m., back to Billancourt. Chassis for one-ton trucks leave the Ile Séguin, whilst barges moored along the quayside unload sand and coal. A Saviem lorry with 100 bench-tested Dauphine engines sets off. 11:15. At Flins, a truck arrives from Le Mans. Its cargo will be unloaded, front and rear axles to be mounted on the Dauphine car. From East Lorraine, the sheet metal has been delivered to make the doors, bonnets, wings and floors on the stamping presses. Automation, mass production. In 6 operations, the Dauphine door panels are stamped at a rate of 400 units every hour. Welding presses. There are 7 of them preparing the floors. 580 welding spots simultaneously. 100 floor panels per hour. The body shell is assembled on jigs fixed to an endless belt before passing to an overhead conveyor. Practically finished, the body disappears, whereas the assembly carrier enters the tunnel for the 490th time since this morning. 490 Dauphine cars have already been turned out today at Flins. 11:45 a.m. At a divisional management headquarters, the sales progress of all distributors in the area is reviewed. In Africa, endurance tests are carried out on Dauphines and Estafettes. Under cloudy northern skies, Renault 4s are put to similar tests. In Spain, Dauphines manufactured earlier in the day are tested at the Valladolid works. Noon. Training courses are regularly held at Billancourt for the Renault staff, keeping them abreast of new developments. Lunch break at the works. The tractor assembly line at Le Mans comes to a halt. And workmen fill the restaurant. At 1:30 p.m. at Le Mans, work starts afresh. At the ironworks, the hot metal will be forged by a giant hammer. It is here that the large parts for lorries and tractors are forged. The metal bar, positioned on a 330-ton anvil, receives the full 16-ton impact of the ram. Two o'clock. At Flins, the parts to be chromium plated are dipped successively into the 6 electrolytic treatment baths. In the Alps, publicity department photographers get coverage for a publicity campaign. Engineers of the Renault Design and Research Center watch the behavior of engines which are tested non-stop under a full load for 1,000 hours. It's exactly as if the engines were being forced for 40 days up some fabulous mountain in first gear with the throttle wide open. The results contribute to one of Renault's greatest riches, experience. 5:30 p.m. According to schedule, the buses leave the Annonay plant. 3 p.m. At Flins, a car body moves on its way to an automatic painting station to be sprayed with one of the 6 Renault colors. Along the roads with the purpose of providing data on the circuit of the 1,000 miles race, the most ruthless in the world. Back in France, on a private track, a new rail car is tested. The overhead tube, planned by various enterprises, including Renault, continues its demonstration. A panoramic rail car undergoes tests demanded by the French railways. On a speed circuit just outside Paris, the Shooting Star, a prototype turbine car, the fastest of its kind in the world, is being studied. At the wheel of a Renault 4, reputed for its incredible robust qualities, men from the Renault engineering department survey a new factory for a private firm. .15 p.m. Amsterdam. A customer takes possession of his new Floride. The Marseille service station. A 750cc customer is welcomed. After 60,000 miles, he has the front axle of his car checked. The repair order is sent by pneumatic tube to a center where details are recorded on a general planning board. The order, once filed, is transmitted by phone to the workshop. In a matter of minutes, the work is begun. In the spare parts department nearby, customers are being attended to as in a large store. "4:30 p.m. From the service station near Billancourt, complete sets of spare parts are sent to the Renault assembly plants abroad: Australia, Great Britain, Japan, South Africa, Belgium, Spain, Brazil, Mexico, the Philippines, and Argentina. At Le Havre, the Dauphine export cars are loaded on Renault chartered ships. Cars for the European market are delivered by road transport. 5:15 p.m. At the Fleur factory, a second train of specially designed wagons moves off, loaded with part of the day's production. But the day's schedule is not yet complete. In one of the main assembly shops, everything is going smoothly. At this point, the bodies, which have just been finished in the upholstery department, meet the engines from Billancourt. However, if at this exact moment an engine meets a body, it's because all the workshops have kept strictly to their prefixed program. All the suppliers and subcontractors who are called in by Renault in ever-increasing numbers to decentralize production have delivered the goods on time. The headlights, tires and batteries. Not forgetting the coal, the sheet metal, rubber, glass and cloth. A great enterprise like Renault does not only provide work for some 100,000 workshop, office and service network employees. Year in, year out, in many different spheres, hundreds of thousands of people are working indirectly for Renault. And it is for this reason that the automobile industry contributes to the well-being of man throughout the world. "5:30 p.m. According to schedule, the buses leave the Antonet plant. The panoramic railway coach, completed according to schedule, is placed on its bogies. At Creil, the last but one Floride of the day nears the end of the assembly line. The last tractor leaves the Le Mans works. The last Dauphine rolls off the line at Fleur. The vehicles, awaited by Renault agents in 98 countries, have been built. The thousands of workers in the different factories have finished their job for today. But that does not mean the factories sleep, for activity still goes on. At Renault, Where prototypes are tested in absolute secrecy, a driver sets off under the cover of night for deserted roads. This car is one of the many models Renault have permanently under test. Maybe it will never make the grade. Yet on the other hand, it may bear in the future the hopes and reputation of Renault. The 12 strokes of midnight. At Brescia, piercing the darkness, the Dauphines and 750cc's are racing along the course of the 1,000 miles. They will distinguish themselves well. And across the wide world, on every road, Renault agents are keeping a weather eye open. For the Régie Renault is forever vigilant.